Hi, a couple of years ago I started getting into D&D. As my passion for D&D grew, so did my collection of minis, and like many others out there, I now have boxes of shame. Legions of unpainted minis. Now this is my underdog story. This is me painting every single one of my miniatures. Alright, hi guys out there, I hope you're having a good time. Today I'm going to paint up the Cloaker or the Cloak Fiend from Reaper Miniatures. It's part of a specific series card called Dark Heaven Legends, I think. So this is actually this is a metal mini, which is kind of interesting. So the first thing I did was remove some of the flash. There wasn't a lot of excess metal on this one, and I was just examining the miniature, and you can see it's quite interesting. It has like a spine that sort of leads up to some sort of a tail or something. First things first, I took the file and just made sure that the bottom of the miniature was flat, and also giving a little bit of more sort of texture for the glue to adhere to in the final end. Here I'm trying it out, sort of seeing where I want to place the miniature. I use super glue as usual. In terms of the placement of the miniature, I actually decided to make it off-center just to sort of compensate the natural weight of the miniature, so it would have a little bit more, let's say, support going forwards from the miniature's point of view. You can see that the miniature quite quickly adheres to it. It helps with the extra weight of the miniature also. So once this had dried and I felt like it was secure, I thought we would do a little bit of very basic basing. So the way I do it, if I just want to make a quick basing, is basically take some white glue. This is Eileen's tacky glue, which I happen to have close by. Any PVA glue or carpenter's glue will do the job. Just spread the glue evenly around the base. You can do as I did, use an old brush, something just to sort of make it somewhat even around the base, and have your gravel or your dirt ready. I started with sprinkling it on, but you know what, eventually I just dunked it in there. Just wanted to have some larger rocks there in the beginning, and then once I was happy, I just dunked it in there, and eventually all of the sort of the glue sticks to the stones, and gives it a nice natural finish. One thing that I figured I would do, I let the glue dry for just a couple of minutes, just so everything sort of had basic attachment. Was I took some more of that white glue, and then I just took some of my dirty water there, it doesn't really matter for this, and I just mixed it in with the glue just to essentially create a much more easily flowing glue. And what I'm doing here is I'm just making double damn sure that none of the rocks or anything will fall away from it. So this is just a simple way to fix all sort of gravel and whatnot. And there are schools of thought that you have to wait until the first layer is done, and in my opinion usually you don't. You just need to wait until the first layer has gotten some grip, but then it's fine. Now I took some decorative stones that I've gotten from IKEA. I think you're supposed to use these for like some sort of floral arrangement. I just wanted some larger stones there. Now once they were in the glue, I just covered them with diluted glue mixture as well, and also I could reposition them, because this being white glue, you have some working time. And I even did the exceptionally skillful move of picking one up with my brush that was covered with glue. So this is what it looks like when it's dry. And you can see none. I'm actually trying to sort of move the rocks, but they're there quite solidly. So time to get a cork out and some blue tack, and time to get this primed. Now I have to say I really like this miniature, and yeah, it's inspirational. And sorry for this camera angle. Doing this outside, it was quite hard. I just wanted to show how I do Xenofall, and before anyone blasts me in the comment, yes, I might have done it a little bit too close, but it was hard getting everything in frame. So I start out this paint job with my Army Painter's Wolf Grey. I find that that's a good mixture between blue and grey, and I used a little bit of paint thinner just to sort of thin out the paints. And I'm gonna try doing some glazing, and I've been reading up a little bit about glazing, and one way of doing it is to remove as much water, or in this case water and thinner, as possible. So I just wanted to sort of start with having control over where I put the paint, and that's really the reason why you remove the moisture, because if you don't remove the moisture, then it's gonna, you know, run all over the place, and you're gonna end up with something a little bit more like a wash, which was not what I wanted in this case. I just wanted a very, very thin layer of this wolf gray, blue gray paint, essentially, to paint the backside of this cloaker. Now the paint scheme I was going for here, I think, is fairly classical. It's almost a version of Sweden's colors. I'm gonna go for something blue-gray on the back, and then something that looks a little bit like yellow sepia tone on the belly. So here you can see that I'm just trying to do several coats of this paint. You should have patience, and sorry for holding the paint bottles upside down. I have a new camera, so I'm getting used to actually being able to have everything on, you know, in the right sort of angle for me. So same thing here. I'm essentially using some sort of I guess you would call it some sort of light orange skin color tone. Doing the same thing here. I'm diluting the paint using some thinner, a little bit of water, and then I am taking just a piece of tissue paper and drying off the excess water. What that does, or should do at least, is leave just the color in your brush, but sort of remove, like I said, the messiness. So your color should be essentially where you place your brush, and it should be fairly, you should have fairly, you know, a large amount of control. So as you see, I decided to paint also the spine in the same color. You can really see here that you can, you know, you can hint the Xenofall priming. I'm again holding it the wrong way, but it looks okay, I have to say. At this point I'm kind of happy with it. So while everything was drying, I decided to use one of those heavy opaque colors. I'm thinning that one out as well. I'm trying out thinner quite a lot now, just to see if that helps sort of somehow, or what effect that has compared to water. But I'm using heavy sienna. Any earth color will do. I'm just making the actual base very, very simple. My idea was pretty much to have some sort of ground texture. I'm not really caring about picking out any of the individual stones or anything like that. I don't want the base to really get that much attention. I just want it to not look what should I say, not look too plain, but simple, if that makes sense. For the eyes, I decided to go with pure red from Army Painter. This I also thinned out and also sort of try to remove some of the moisture just to be able to have maximum control, because even on the eyes they're quite large. They're sort of there's a large sort of what do you call it, almost like a pit or in his eyes, so I didn't want to hit that. I just wanted to hit the tops. Here I used actually what supposedly is a fluorescent light, sort of fluorescent orange color. I just did that just to create some sort of a color differentiation in the eyes. And here I'm going in with some of that off-white. This I also used as a sort of glazing technique. So dilute it and then remove the moisture on your brush. Load up your brush and then remove the moisture on your brush using a paper towel or something similar. And I'm just going to go in here very simple and try to get some of the highlights on the teeth to make them look quite nasty. And one thing actually dawned upon me as I was painting this. I felt like I knew this face or whatnot, and it reminds me a little bit of the Book of the Dead from Evil Dead 3, if anyone has seen that film, old classic. So in order to give a little bit more shade on the inside of the Cloaker, I went in with some Seraphim Sepia, my favorite wash when it comes to giving some shade to the bone colors. And then for the blue back, I went in with some Drakenhof Nightshade, just to sort of try to get some of that shadow definition. There's actually a nice pattern on the back of it that looks almost like scales or something like that. So partly I'm trying to bring those, make those pop a little bit. Then I just use some Nuln Oil wash for the base once that had dried, just to create a nice contrast against the sort of warm brown earth. At this point I'm using the same colors I used for the inside, and I'm mixing in a little bit of white and actually a little bit of medium as well. I'm just trying a different way of yeah, there you can see my tissue. I'm going to try a different way of actually glazing. So here I'm just picking out some of the details where I want them to be brighter, and I'm trying my best to figure out where sort of light would naturally get caught, and I really have a hard time figuring that out, to be honest. It's of all the things in painting, for me the hardest thing is thinking or figuring out where light would naturally hit. If anyone has any good tips on how understanding lighting for dummies or something, I'm all ears. Now, once I had done the inside of the Cloaker, I decided to do some sort of dry brush on the actual backside of a cape. So here I'm mixing up some off-white and some of that blue color just to create a sort of brighter blue color. I knew I was gonna go quite over exaggerated here because I essentially wanted more contrast in the back of it, so I went in quite heavy with the dry brush, especially at the top, because I knew that that's where light should hit a little bit more. And I'm doing this knowing full on that I'm gonna probably hit this the backside again with a second coat of wash actually. But while I was dry brushing, I figured I would also do a light dry brush of sort of off white with some brown on the earth. Now here I'm coming back in with the, what was it, the blue wash nightshade. But this time around I figured I would add a couple of drops of Nuln oil as well, just to make it a slight darker. So I'm just gonna try to sort of push that wash on the backside, just to try to get everything to sort of blend a little bit better, and also trying to get some of the sort of shadowy areas. Now I was happy with this, so once that was done, it was time to paint the black border around it and just frame this masterpiece. So let's have a look at how it turned out, shall we? Alright guys and gals, I hope this paint job was in some way entertaining or helpful or whatnot. I am quite happy with this. This is definitely qualifies as my tabletop standard. I'm looking forward to using the Cloaker. I really love this miniature. I think it's quite awesome, and I've been in a little bit of a slump, so this was a good sort of pick-me-up miniature, I have to say. So, if you like what you see here, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, with those words, I hope I'll see you next week. Adieu.